Imagine writing a check for $808 every single month.
Yeah, that is a serious amount of money.
Right. For a lot of people, I mean, that used to be a mortgage payment, or at least a really big chunk of rent.
Well, absolutely it was.
But now, that is the average monthly payment for a standard new car.
It is wild to think about.
And here is the kicker. You know, when you ask drivers who are paying that luxury level premium what feature they absolutely must have in their next vehicle, their answer isn't a self-driving autopilot.
No.
It isn't some holographic heads-up display. It is literally just a warm seat.
A heated seat, yeah.
Welcome to Auto News Talk.
Glad to be here.
The global auto industry is facing this massive multi-billion-dollar reality check right now. From the local dealership lot to the international factory lines, we are watching a fascinating collision between where the industry assumed it was going and where you, the consumer, are firmly dragging it back to.
It is a phenomenal realignment, honestly. I mean, the stakes here are astronomical because automakers have spent all this time engineering for a futuristic utopia, only to slam headfirst into stark, unforgiving affordability.
Yeah, a massive affordability wall.
Exactly. We were watching a masterclass in course correction.
And that is the terrain we are mapping out for you on Auto News Talk. We are going to start right in the driver's seat, looking at what buyers are actually willing to finance.
Which is eye-opening.
Truly. Then we will look under the hood to see how manufacturers are rewriting their playbooks in response, check in on how local dealerships are surviving the squeeze using some pretty unexpected technology, and finally zoom out to the global manufacturing chessboard.
Right, to see how this ruthless efficiency is reshaping international trade.
Exactly.
It is the ultimate tension, really. You have high-tech ambition versus fundamental, traditional consumer desires.
So let's start with that fundamental reality. We have a National Automobile Dealers Association report on auto sales, and the overarching picture is that the market is, holding its ground.
Right, they cite a 16.3 million unit pace.
Yeah, but here is where it gets really interesting. Dig into the powertrain numbers, and the narrative just flips.
It completely reverses.
Battery electric vehicles, the pure BEVs, slipped to just 5.9% of the market.
Wow.
Meanwhile, hybrids rocketed up 19.6%, capturing over 15% of the total market share.
We really have to unpack why that retreat is happening, because the NAT report attributes this directly to what they call true market demand.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, for quite a while, EV sales were heavily subsidized by federal tax credits. Those credits basically created an artificial floor for the pricing.
I see.
But once that specific funding shifted or expired, consumers were suddenly staring at raw, unfiltered price tags.
Right, the training wheels came off.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And when you combine those raw MSRPs with the fact that interest rates are stubbornly stuck at 6.54%.
Ouch.
I know. Pure electrics become a very tough sell for the average household.
So what are automakers doing about it? Well, they are trying to compensate. The report notes that manufacturer incentives are actually rising, hitting an estimated $3,451 per vehicle.
But even with those incentives, I mean, it brings us right back to that staggering affordability wall I mentioned off the top.
It really does.
Because the NEDA data points out that $808 is the average monthly payment for a new vehicle finance contract.
Yeah.
That is the highest ever recorded for that specific tracking period.
It places an absolute vice grip on household budgets.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now, to be fair to the data, the NEDA report does acknowledge a limitation in their macroeconomic view.
Oh, what did they miss?
They mentioned that the year-over-year increase in incentives might appear larger because there was a pullback the previous summer to offset tariff costs.
Okay.
But what they don't answer is specifically which tariffs or which specific brands drove that historical shift.
Got it. But hold on. Let me push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go ahead. If a buyer is stretched that thin, making an $800 payment, shouldn't they be demanding the absolute cutting edge in automotive technology?
You would think so.
I mean, if I am paying luxury car money for a standard family hauler, I kind of want it to drive itself while brewing me an espresso.
That is the logical assumption, from Silicon Valley. If the price goes up, the technological payload must go up in tandem to justify the cost.
Exactly.
But human psychology does not work like a spreadsheet.
Which is perfectly illustrated by an AutoPacific survey of 19,000 drivers.
Right.
They asked what features people most value in a future purchase. And number one on the list, demanded by 47% of drivers, was heated seats.
This is a warm seat.
Yep. They beat out front and rear parking sensors. They beat out rearward automatic emergency braking.
Wow.
And I found this absolutely wild all-wheel drive, which is a fundamental mechanical feature, ranked dead last in the top 15.
This is where we see tangible comfort completely obliterating abstract safety tech.
Elaborate on that a bit.
Think about how these features actually interact with the driver. Rear automatic braking is an invisible line of code.
Right.
It is an algorithmic guardian angel that you hope you never, ever interact with.
That's very true.
But a heated seat, you feel that deep physical comfort every single morning on a cold commute. It transforms the car into a personal sanctuary.
I hear that, but prioritizing a warm backside over a system that literally stops you from backing into a shopping cart, I mean, that seems almost irrational.
It is not irrational if you look at cognitive load.
Okay, how so?
Drivers are exhausted. They're stressed about their finances, as the N80 report proved.
Yeah, that $800 payment.
Exactly. When you are stressed, you don't want a complex digital interface beeping at you. You want simple, reliable warmth.
That makes sense.
The implication for automakers is that they cannot simply replace physical, tactile comforts with digital suites.
Though we do need to put a pin in a limitation here.
Fair enough.
This AutoPacific survey tracks stated preferences, what people say they want on a questionnaire, not necessarily what they drive off the lot with.
That is an important distinction.
Furthermore, what the report completely fails to answer is why heated seats jumped from not even making the top 15 in previous surveys to taking the absolute crown now.
Yeah, we don't know the catalyst for that sudden spike in demand.
Regardless of the catalyst, the demand for traditional comfort is undeniable, and it is actively bleeding over into the mechanical side of the industry.
Oh, absolutely.
So if buyers want comfortable, traditional features, how are the manufacturers reacting when it comes to the actual engines?
They are pivoting hard.
Let's look at the most important profit engine in the American market, the Ford F-150.
The quintessential American truck.
Right. We have a leaked Ford F-150 order guide that shows a massive pivot away from the assumed all-electric truck future.
Which is huge news.
They are making aggressive changes to their internal combustion lineup.
Because the F-150 is the golden goose, any mechanical adjustment is a weather vane for the entire industry. What does the guide reveal?
Instead of shrinking the gas lineup, they are revamping it.
Interesting.
The guide shows they are introducing a new 3-liter EcoBoost V6 to replace the old 2.7-liter as the base engine.
Okay, so a turbocharged efficiency play.
Exactly. But the part that really caught my eye is the V8. The massive 5-liter Coyote V8 is returning as an option for the premium trims, specifically the King Ranch and the Platinum.
Wow. Bringing the V8 back to the top tier.
Yeah. The guide explicitly notes that buyers prefer the sound, the feel, and the traditional truck character of a naturally aspirated V8.
Over the turbo.
Yes, and they prefer it even if the turbocharged V6 actually beats it on paper in terms of raw towing specs.
This is the emotional core of the automotive industry.
Totally.
A turbocharged V6 might give you better fuel economy and low-end torque, but a V8 gives you a visceral, rumbling acoustic experience.
The heritage factor.
Right. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, Ford is looking at their rivals. Ram just brought back the Hemi V8 in certain applications, and General Motors never abandoned their small block V8s.
So they have to compete on emotion.
Exactly. Ford realized they cannot force a traditional truck buyer into an electric hum or even a quiet V6 if the buyer is willing to pay a premium for heritage.
But wait, can we really trust a leaked order guide as proof of an industry-wide pivot? I mean, it is a leak.
That is a very valid point.
What this guide totally leaves out are the final specs, the official pricing, the EPA fuel economy ratings, and the actual tow capacities. Ford hasn't confirmed any of this.
You are right to be skeptical of a leak, but in the context of the NED data showing a pullback in EVs and the AutoPacific data showing a desire for traditional comfort,
It fits the pattern.
it perfectly aligns with the broader macroeconomic trend. Automakers are leaning back into what they know sells, rather than what might sell in some theoretical future.
Okay, so the automakers are building traditional V8s with heated seats, and the buyers are stretching their budgets to afford them.
Yes.
But someone actually has to broker that transaction. How does a local dealership survive the squeeze of moving these incredibly expensive vehicles?
This is where things get really fascinating.
There is a podcast recap detailing the Stivers Auto Group playbook, and it completely flips the script on where automotive technology is actually being deployed.
It is perhaps the most surprising pivot of all. The assumption is that AI belongs in the dashboard, driving the car.
Right, self-driving stuff.
But Stivers is proving that AI actually belongs in the back office, running the business.
They specialize in turning around failing, underperforming stores, and they do it with ruthless digital efficiency.
How do they implement it?
The recap explains that they use artificial intelligence, specifically Claude, to analyze lost sales data.
Oh, wow.
Leadership literally has the AI review overnight customer relationship management, the CRM chats to identify process failures.
Let's break down how that actually works, because CRM software is the lifeblood of a dealership.
It tracks everything.
Exactly. It logs every phone call, every email, every text from a potential buyer. A human manager cannot possibly read 500 text threads a day to figure out why sales are dropping.
There just isn't enough time.
But an AI like Claude can ingest all of that instantly. It can flag that a salesperson took 4 hours to reply to a financing question, or that they completely ignored a trade-in inquiry.
It pinpoints the failure.
Yes, the AI highlights the exact moment the ball was dropped.
And it works. The recap highlights a small Arizona dealership within the Stivers Group.
What happened there?
By overhauling leadership and installing this AI-driven CRM oversight, that specific store went from selling a dismal 12 new vehicles a month to moving more than 100.
That is nearly a 10 times volume increase.
It's unbelievable. Furthermore, Eddie Stivers mandates that his dealers stock vehicles that the local customers can actually afford, strictly prohibiting managers from ordering fully loaded vanity vehicles just to make the lot look cool.
It is a phenomenal blend of low-tech inventory management and high-tech operational oversight.
But I have to push back here.
Go for it.
Stivers has a massive financial goal attached to this. They are targeting a reduction in labor costs to below 40% of gross profit within a 36-month window.
That is an aggressive cut.
Very. They want to compete with hyper-efficient digital retailers like Carvana. But if you cut human labor that aggressively, don't you destroy the traditional white-glove customer service experience that a buyer expects when signing up for an $800 monthly payment?
That is the risk, absolutely. But Stivers would likely argue that the customer doesn't care how many humans are in the back office, as long as the transaction is fast and transparent.
So AI creates an invisible efficiency.
Precisely. However, the recap does have a glaring limitation. What it absolutely doesn't answer is the blueprint for the small, independent dealer. A massive group like Stivers has the capital to deploy enterprise AI and absorb 36 months of structural restructuring.
Right.
A single lot, family-owned dealership does not.
So the mom-and-pop dealers might just get
Swallowed up completely by this wave of AI consolidation, yeah.
Man, that's rough. But this demand for ruthless efficiency isn't just happening at a corner lot in Arizona. It is happening on a massive global scale.
Let's zoom out.
Let's look at the international manufacturing chessboard. We have the details on an agreement between General Motors and SAIC Motor in China.
Okay.
They are extending their joint venture for another 20 years, locking them in for nearly 2 more decades.
To understand the gravity of this, you have to understand the history. This joint venture is an absolute titan.
The scale is wild. The source notes they have produced over 20 million vehicles in China since the partnership began.
That is a staggering number.
But the landscape has violently shifted. Historically, GM pulled in roughly $2 billion in annual earnings from China. But now, those profits vanished, turning into actual, literal financial losses.
We have to ask why a 20 million vehicle empire suddenly starts bleeding cash.
Why did it?
It is because the domestic Chinese market evolved faster than GM anticipated. Local automakers rapidly advanced their electric vehicle and software technologies, offering them at price points that foreign legacy automakers simply couldn't match.
So if you are losing money, why sign a 20-year extension? I mean, why not just pack up and leave?
Because GM is fundamentally changing the nature of the partnership. They are shifting from a strategy of market capture to a strategy of global leverage.
Okay, what does that look like?
They are narrowing their local sales focus in China strictly to premium brands, primarily Buick and Cadillac.
And what happens to the massive factories that used to pump out everyday cars for Chinese buyers?
They are repurposing them.
Right. They are turning them into a global export hub. GM plans to use Chinese manufacturing to build and export Chevrolet and other models to emerging markets, specifically the Middle East, Africa, and South America.
That is a massive pivot.
It is, and they explicitly drew a line in the sand. These vehicles will not be exported to the United States.
Which brings up an interesting question.
Wait, yeah. If the cars are cheap to build in China and American buyers are suffocating under $800 car payments, why wouldn't GM bring those affordable Chevys back to the U.S.?
Tariffs and geopolitical friction.
Of course.
Bringing a Chinese-built car into the U.S. market right now invites massive regulatory scrutiny and steep import taxes.
It would ruin the price advantage.
Exactly. By exporting to South America and the Middle East, GM utilizes their highly efficient Chinese manufacturing footprint to compete on price in the global South, completely sidestepping the American regulatory wall.
It is a brilliant, albeit forced, chess move.
It is.
But again, we are missing some puzzle pieces here. While the overarching strategy of retreat and export makes sense, what this report doesn't answer are the actual financial terms of this 20-year extension.
Which is a huge blank spot.
Yeah, we don't know the projected export volumes, and we don't know the specific capital investment GM has to make to retool these factories for export.
It is a massive gamble, but it proves that whether you are a local dealer in Arizona or a global manufacturer in Shanghai, if you do not ruthlessly optimize your operations to match the current reality, you will not survive.
Okay, we have covered an immense amount of ground here on Auto News Talk.
We really have.
From the NAO affordability data to the heated seats in the AutoPacific survey, the leaked Ford V8 guide, AI dealership managers, and GM's global export pivot.
It is a lot to take in.
So what does this all mean? When you look at these seemingly disparate pieces of the puzzle, how do they connect?
When you synthesize all of this evidence, three very clear themes emerge.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, we are witnessing the triumph of pragmatism. The NA sales data showing the massive jump in hybrids, combined with the AutoPacific survey prioritizing heated seats, proves that buyers want tangible, practical solutions over abstract, high-tech promises.
The second theme is clearly leaning into heritage. Automakers are realizing they can't force a revolution. The leaked Ford F-150 order guide bringing back the V8 engine is proof that traditional sound, emotion, and feel still carry immense weight.
Absolutely. And the third theme is ruthless operational efficiency.
Right.
We see it at the micro level with the Stivers Auto Group using Claude AI to slash dealership labor costs. And we see it at the macro level with GM transforming a struggling domestic Chinese operation into a strategic global export hub to protect their balance sheet.
But navigating all of this uncovers some deep tensions, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The biggest one that jumps out to me is the massive disconnect between the boardroom and the driveway. You have the industry's top-down push for a pure EV future, which we discussed, slamming right into the consumer's firm, wallet-driven pullback toward hybrids and gas engines, as evidenced by the N8A data and Ford's engine strategy.
That is the primary friction. And the second tension is the contrast in how technology is actually being deployed versus how we thought it would be deployed.
The invisible versus the visible.
Exactly.
We have highly complex AI taking over the dealership back offices to ensure business survival, like we saw with Stivers, while the consumers actually walking onto the lot are rejecting complex dashboard features in favor of low-tech physical comforts like warm seats.
Precisely. The technology that matters is the technology you don't see.
Yeah.
So if we boil all of this down to one practical takeaway for the listener, it is this. We have officially entered the age of the pragmatic buyer. Automakers and dealers must start building and planning for a futuristic utopia, and they must start selling to the stark, expensive reality of the present.
It's like the entire automotive industry spent billions of dollars trying to serve this highly experimental 5-course molecular gastronomy meal.
I love that analogy.
Right. They designed these spaceship-like EVs with features nobody asked for, but the buyers who are stressed, exhausted, and tapped out just sat at the table, pushed the foam away, and demanded a really, really good cheeseburger.
A very expensive cheeseburger financed at 6.5%, but yes, they want the fundamentals executed perfectly.
Well, that is a perfect place to wrap up this segment. Thank you so much for joining us on Auto News Talk.
Thanks for having me.
We love taking these industry shifts and bringing them right down to your driveway. The auto industry's future isn't just about reinventing the wheel. It's about making sure the person behind it is comfortable, can actually afford the monthly payments, and maybe just has a really good heated seat.
The next time you drive past a local dealership, take a hard look at the lot. Are they stocking the futuristic cars the headlines promised 2 years ago? Or are they stocking exactly what your neighbors are willing to pay for today?